Pemirsa yang berbahagia, pada kesempatan ini saya ingin menyampaikan informasi bahwa ternyata manuskrip Al-Qur'an yang tertua yang masih ada saat ini justru terdapat di perpustakaan Universitas Birmingham, Inggris. Ya, bukti dalam temuan ini ditunjukkan dalam sebuah analisis radiokarbon, ya, yang menunjukkan bahwa perkamen yang dipakai dasar sebagai penulisan teks ayat-ayat Al-Quran ini menunjukkan tahun sekitar 640-an. Ya, hanya beberapa tahun saja dari sejak kenabian Nabi, atau persisnya itu adalah era di mana Utsman bin Affan menjadi khalifah. Ya, dokumen ini pembuktian pembuktian bahwa perkamen melalui analisis radiokarbon yang terdapat di dalam teks-teks dan ayat-ayat yang ada di dalam perkamen tersebut menunjukkan bahwa Al-Quran benar-benar sudah disalin pada masa itu.
Manuscripts found at the UK's University of Birmingham could be part of the world's oldest Qur'an. This is according to new tests. Scholars, they're hailing it as a milestone discovery. But some say this could rewrite the history of Islam because carbon dating suggests part of the text predates the Prophet Muhammad. Well, we spoke to Professor David Thomas from the University of Birmingham, who examined the manuscripts.
If we want to press the point and say, well, it could be that these fragments come from the middle of the 6th century, because the earliest dating is 658. The earliest dating within the range is 658. Then that would raise huge questions about the traditional origins of Islam.
They found two fragments, 2 pages of a Quran that were found in the Birmingham Library in a folio, a manuscript there that didn't belong. Dr. Abdel Fadeli noticed it, and so she took it down to Oxford University labs to be tested with using carbon dating 14. And they looked at the dates, and they found that the dates were 568 to 645. And Dr. David Thomas was brought out. He's from Birmingham, and he said the writer of this manuscript could well have known the Prophet Muhammad. He would have seen him probably. He would maybe have heard him preach. He may have known him personally, and that really is quite a thought to conjure up. Any problem with this? 568, Muhammad was born in 570, to 645, Muhammad died in 632. Any of you see a problem with those dates? That's because carbon dating is very inexact. So it's a 77-year stretch of probability of 95% probability. It could be 568, it could be 645. But from what I've said tonight, or this afternoon, can you see a problem with that latest date? When was the Quran written down? 652, right? Under Uthman. So how can you have a Quran that predates Uthman? To say nothing of the fact that if it's 568, it predates Muhammad as well. They hadn't bothered to look at the dates carefully enough. But the Birmingham folios, when you look at it, you will notice that it includes Surah 18, Surah 19, and Surah 20, the two folios that we're looking at that are dated then. When you look at those references, you will see that Surah 18 is about the 7 sleepers of Ephesus. This is not Quranic. This is actually borrowed from other material. That comes from the Gregory of Tours, and there's a Syriac version of it by James of Sarug in 521. So this was around from the 6th century. Surah 19 comes a Syriac work from the Proto-Evangelium of James and Gospel of Pseudo-Matthew from the 3rd century. And of course, the story of Moses, Surah 20, is exactly straight out of our Bible. So all of these predate the Quran, do they not? These are nothing more than borrowed stories. What was interesting is they then started looking at manuscripts from Sana. They wanted to look at some of the dates on them. Take a look at all the multiplicity of dates. But what was most damaging is when they started using it in other labs. They went to Lyon lab, they went to Kiel lab, they went to the Arizona lab. The Arizona lab and the Oxford lab are considered to be the best in the world. And look at the dates they found on those manuscripts. 388 to 535, that's even before Muhammad was born. 443 to 599, Muhammad was less than 20 years old. 430 to 611, 443 to 599. These are way before Muhammad. These are way before the Quran, because the Quran was only introduced in 610, according to the Islamic traditions. Finalized in 652, or 632, excuse me. See, these go back to the 5th century. What does that suggest, and what are these documents? I would suggest that these are the very documents the Quran borrowed from. When you look at the Quran, a good 70% of the Quran is borrowed from other sources, mainly Jewish apocryphal writings and Christian Syriac sectarian writings. Dr. Luling out of Germany noticed that much of the poetry in the Quran, the beautiful poetry that's in the Quran, he was able to trace every one of those poetries strophe by strophe to pre-Islamic Christian hymns written in the 5th and 6th century, interpose that into Arabic, almost exactly line for line the same. Muslims claim that this is the miracle of the Quran, because how could a man who could not read or write such beautiful poetry? I would suggest that they should give credit to the Christians that wrote it and have nothing to do with Muhammad.
Masa khalifah, di mana memang pada masa itu metode yang digunakan oleh dari sejak Abu Bakar, kemudian Umar, sampai dengan Utsman adalah melakukan kodifikasi penulisan dari semua sahabat-sahabat yang hafal Al-Quran